Welcome back to the studio, I'm Laura. Today while I work on this painting, we'll just be talking about some of my plans for April and some of the things that I've been up to recently as well. I already showed you the page in my sketchbook with the planning for this painting, and I'm also using some references of alpine forests and rabbit references, of course, because I have some little rabbits that I'm putting in this painting, which I was very excited to do since I haven't painted animals that much recently. I actually have a rabbit myself. His name is Frankie, and he's a Holland Lop. He actually lives free roam in my room, so if you hear any little background noises, that would be him hopping around doing his thing. This painting was actually for the Vernon Community Arts Center's recent exhibition, Landscapes, Real and Imagined. So obviously it had to be a landscape, but I like to do things as uniquely as possible, so I made it a landscape, but it also has some cute little rabbits in there to just add some life to the painting. I've already done 7 of my 35 paintings for the year. I've made so much progress since last year already. I'm so surprised by myself. It's a good thing. I'm really starting to see what I want to see in my work, and that's a very positive thing to see as an artist. And any artists watching will know this as well, that sometimes your art is not where you want it to be yet, and that can be pretty discouraging in general if you're not achieving your goal quite yet. Honestly, I should show you some of my sketchbooks sometime, maybe in my next video, because I've been drawing for nearly 6 years now, and you do not become good overnight. It takes so much practice to become a good artist. And not even to just become a good artist, but to learn to create the art that you want to create. As artists, we are our own worst critic. We are always criticizing the latest work that we've done and the work that we've done in the past to see what we could improve upon. So even if you create a painting that other people think is so good, it may just not be what you wanted it to be. And figuring out what you want your work to be is just something that takes that consistency that everyone is always talking about. What can also serve as a challenge is aphantasia as an artist, which, if you don't know, aphantasia is when you cannot visualize things in your mind, and I actually have this myself, so that makes it quite interesting because I can have an idea for a painting, and I can think of adjectives to describe what the painting would look like, but I have no clue how I actually want it to look. I can only look at things similar to how I would want it to look, like stylistically or composition-wise. It's kind of weird to explain, but if you wanted to check out another YouTube video and just see the different levels of aphantasia you can have, then I highly recommend doing that because it can be very interesting to learn that about yourself. And if you are an artist with aphantasia, please tell me about your process in the comments. I would love to know what you do to have a clearer idea of what you want to create. This is why I do so much planning for my paintings, and I usually do like at least a full page in my sketchbook, like the one that I showed you before, where I write out all the ways to describe the painting and the ideas and the composition and some of the colors as well, just to make sure that I can get it as close to something that I want as possible. And also, since I have aphantasia, then I can't really think of other ways to do something, so thumbnailing provides me with a spot to just try different types of the same idea, because maybe the way that I would think that it would work doesn't, and there's a better way. So doing multiple thumbnails from different angles of the same concept can also really help come up with different and new ideas. I would honestly love to research aphantasia more, and especially how it relates to artists. So if you're interested in a video about that, let me know in the comments and I'll start working on that. I should also update you on a few things that have transpired since my last video. And firstly, I have not heard back about my street banner application yet, but the results should be coming out at the end of this week, and I'll be sure to let you know if my design gets used. I've also become a supporting member of the Federation of Canadian Artists, which is super exciting, and this month I'm going to be working on my active status application. The difference between the active and supporting statuses is that as an active member, you can participate in significantly more of their exhibitions that they have, and I think I should be taking advantage of that opportunity to have my work out there as much as possible. Funny story, I also got 23 paintings accepted into one public curation program for the Monashi Arts Council in Lumby here in BC, and that was not expected because they told me I could submit as many paintings as I'd like, so I put all the paintings in a Google Doc and told them, hey, just pick the ones that you like, and then I get an email back saying they liked all of them, so that was a very happy surprise. Something that I'm really learning is just be optimistic, because the worst thing that people can say is no. So there is no harm in asking, there's no harm in offering a ridiculous amount of paintings, because maybe they will say yes, like they did for me, and if I had not done that, then I would have missed this opportunity. And once again, I know I've said this before in previous videos, but I must reiterate that your art does not speak for itself, and you do have to advocate for yourself and your art. The percentage of people that become a success just because they have good art is very small, so if you are taking this seriously, then it does need to be treated very seriously and as a business and as something that you must promote and advertise. Everything I say, I'm saying to a younger me the things that I think every young artist should know. If you are dreaming of becoming a full-time artist, these are the things that you should take to heart and remember on your trip to success. At this point, I had the canvas almost entirely covered and it was going in a really good direction. Here's another look at it. I like to start with the background and get that mostly in before going to the foreground. And then I really started working on the tree and just fleshing it out a bit more. When I started on it, it was kind of just a tree, but then after looking at it, I was like, this kind of looks like an apple tree. So I made it an apple tree and had to find some references, which it totally gave apple tree vibes, which was so good. I've learned so much about color recently, specifically after spending a lot of time just using hand-mixed colors made from naphthol red, manganese blue, and cadmium yellow, and of course white. It really taught me a lot about what I can do with the colors and that they have so much more flexibility than I originally thought that they had. And if you're gonna use a tubed color, then make it as original as possible. For example, you can see I'm putting some yellow in with the sap green. And yes, I did do this to make it more like the colors on an apple tree, but I also did this because then it is not just straight sap green from the tube. It makes it a significantly more unique and original color. Words cannot describe how much I enjoyed painting these apples. Look how cute they are. The little bits of yellow on them is just so perfect. However, this is when they were too small, so you can see right here I made them a bit bigger. And once again, I'm using a reference to get the layers of trees into this background. While I was painting this landscape, I was definitely remembering that, oh yeah, the further things are from you, the lighter and less contrasty they will appear. So you can see here I'm using a very light green for these background trees and even covering it with more fog. And the closer things are in the foreground, the darker and more distinct and more detailed they will be. Of course, you can kind of break this rule a little bit if, say, your focal point is kind of in the midground, then you will want to make that the most detailed and intricate part of the painting because that will draw more attention to it. Now, of course, for things that I'm unfamiliar with, I'm definitely using a reference. So you can see I found a reference of a hopping rabbit here for this little one. And I used references for the other rabbits as well because I'm not familiar with how a rabbit's anatomy is, even though I literally own a rabbit. But also, different rabbit species look different, so you're going to want to make sure that you're as accurate as possible, and a reference is simply the best way to do that. Now, I was not too happy with the angle of that one tree in the corner, so I'm just repainting it, because I'm allowed to do that. You're allowed to make mistakes with your work, and you're allowed to just paint over it and redo it. And here's the garden all finished up. It's such a cute painting. I love the rabbits. If you would like to stick around on my art journey, please subscribe, like this video, and until next time, happy painting!